Hello everybody, welcome back once again to the Final Fantasy VI Perfect Stats Guide for the Pixel Remaster. Alright, so we are starting here at the end of Zozo. The last video there we kind of made our way all the way through here. And I actually just wanted to show you guys a couple of different ways that the Dadaluma fight plays out. For one thing here, you know, because of... there's something wrong, I think, right now, where in prior versions of the game, Dadaluma will call in ads. I mean, that's been the same regardless of version, but it's on, I believe it's a 30-second timer. So if he's been alive, right, for 30 seconds, he'll call into, I think they're Iron Fists. We'll see here in a second, but and that's a problem, especially when we're trying to do the perfect stats, right? Because we're trying to reduce the amount of experience that we take, and you know, in other versions of the game, as long as you didn't touch the Iron Fists, right, and you didn't you didn't kill them in battle, that was fine. You know, you just focus on Dadaluma, leave the Iron Fists up, and then when Dadaluma gets killed, boom, the battle's over, and we wouldn't get experience. It is not the case as of right now. I hope that they fix this because, you know, it's obnoxious, and this battle didn't behave quite this way, and again in prior versions of the game where. I believe, again, though, if you actually killed the Iron Fist before Dadaluma, again, in, like, the PlayStation version was the one that, you know, that I remember, that would be a problem, too, right? If you kill off the Iron Fist before Dadaluma dies, you just eliminate them, you would get experience for every one that you actually killed. But, again, you know, if you didn't touch them, it was fine. But again, in this version, as of right now anyway, and again, I hope that they fix this, but I'm not 100% sure if they're going to. But regardless, so what we want to do actually is to eliminate this guy in under 30 seconds. Now, there's a couple of different ways to do that. I'm gonna, you know, after showing you guys the experience that we're gonna get here, I'll take a little cut here in my video and show you the way that I actually did it. But there's another way as well. So I basically use Gao to use break, and Dadaluma is vulnerable to break. So I literally just one-shot him. There are other methods though to kill him as well. If you don't want to bring Locke, although I was even able to do that with Locke. Locke is he's almost dead weight here. He just really can't contribute much as far as damage goes. I did bring him to steel though, so and Dadaluma does have that jeweled ring. He's also got a rare steal, which is the Thief Glove, which is not good, not worth stealing. Only Locke can equip that in the world of balance, and so there's just no reason to get that. At least the jeweled ring is somewhat useful. But there you had it. So that was the what was it, like 288 experience, and again, we don't want to get any experience whatsoever, so we can't keep that. So, all right, here's round two, and again, this is with Gao using break. There's two rages that can do that. That's the Dark Wind enemy or the commander. So I'm going to steal here right off the bat. Boom, got the jeweled ring. We'll select here the commander. That enemy is down at the in the basements of Figaro, or South Figaro, the town, and we get that during Locke's scenario. Again, though, if you don't have that, you could get the Dark Wind enemy, which is right outside of Narsh. And again, you know, unfortunately, you'd have to go all the way to the Veld to learn that, but hopefully you learned that at the beginning. But there you have it. No experience. Got the Twist Headband as the drop, and we are good to go. Just another thing, I suppose, like if you if you don't have the Commander or the Dark Wind, and you don't feel like going all the way back forward or whatever. You can also use, there's a couple of other rages that actually work out pretty well there for Gao. The Trillium is really good because it casts Bio, and, like a double earring on Gao works really well for that. A double earring is good on Sabin as well, and just using Aura Bolts, and then using Chainsaw. In the original video that I had done for this, I actually took out Dadaluma without using Break. And again, and I actually even brought Locke as well. So again, Locke doesn't really contribute anything as far as damage goes. So it's kind of not, it's not the greatest. So if the other thing is, if you're struggling there, you know, and you've I guess brought Locke, well, I mean, you could always try it without him. Bring Cyan instead. At least Cyan using I mean, you can get lucky and you can try to use Sky and hope that he gets attacked, right? And then Sky, that counterattack will be pretty devastating. Otherwise, you know, just use. I always want to say Dispatch, but that is not the name of that skill anymore. And now I can't remember it off the top of my head. Oof, big yikes. But anyways, his first ability. So yeah. All right. Anyways, on with the story here. So it's probably obvious now, or it's been, I suppose, revealed to us that Terra is in fact at least part Esper, and Rama here has been kind of helping her come to terms with that. And then Rama also kind of describes, you know, what he's kind of doing in this world, and yeah, he you know, kind of describes here that I guess, like, you know, what does he say there? Humans and Espers are incompatible, or at least, you know, that's what people have been led to believe. But, you know, once upon a time that wasn't the case. Hence, you know, Terra. But here, yeah, so he's explaining also the war between the Espers and the humans, where yeah, what was it there? Espers fought a war against humans that were infused with the power of Espers, which, you know, by the way, that's happening again. All right, so they feared. Did you do a matter of time before their powers were targeted? Okay, yeah. So, you know, in realizing that, you know, humans were after their powers, the Espers erected a gate to keep them out of their world. And yeah, Gastal, obviously being the big bad, or one of the big bads, I guess I should say. Yeah, led his troops here to the Espers to try to snag some more. All right. Yeah. So then, yeah, he just says there that they made the gate and they threw the humans out. Nearly escaped the same fate, and now I'm here with you. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So also, you know, so when Terra interacted with Valor Gramanda, which, by the way, used to be called Tritalk, I guess. Her powers kind of went out of control, and yeah, flew here to Zozo. She's a bit different from us. She looks like she's in pain. She's afraid of what she is, and that is a painful thing. What can we do to help her? She understands her true nature. The fear and doubt should subside. Is there nothing we can do? The others of my kind who are trapped in Gastal's Magitek research facility may be able to help her. If we can get inside that facility, you're sure we'll find them. I escaped alone, abandoning my friends and hiding here like a coward, but I fear I can remain here no longer. What do you mean? Gastal's methods are mistaken. He knows only to drain an Esper's powers by force, but that's not the way to unlock our potential. Only when we become Magitek can our strength be transferred in full. What are you saying? I'm going to turn myself into Magitek so I can lend you my strength. Magitek is an Esper's power in its purest form. When an Esper dies, Magitek is all that's left behind. Okay. There we go. Here's our first Espers. These are my companions who fell. And boom. Turns himself into a Magitek as well. All right, so there it is. There's our first Magitek. What is it? It's I guess it's Ketchi in this one, Siren, Rama, and then what's the other one? Kieran. And yeah, some just basic spells. Rama does teach. Excuse me. Geez, sorry. Rama does teach Thundara, I guess it's called in this game. So a little bit of a better spell. And I would say at this point, I think that teaching, let's see here. So Locke, Cyan, Gao for sure. Locke, Cyan, Gao. Yeah, those are the probably those are the three that you really want to make sure you teach everything to. Celes is going to be forced into our party as well at this point, but for the time being, though, we need to head over to the Veld anyway, and what we're going to actually end up doing is leaping Gao off so that we can go grab Shadow. Now here I'm glitching Espers. You can't do this anymore, unfortunately. As of literally today, they patched the game so that you can't glitch Espers, which honestly really sucks because there was a way to glitch Raiden onto Celes, which, I don't know, I'm not that wild about strength on Celes, but I still, given the choice between a +1 magic from Ketchi or the +2 from Raiden, I picked Raiden. So my current game, actually, I was able to still do that, prior to the fix today. But just know that unfortunately, it has kind of reverted back to the old days. They're bringing us back to the Dark Ages with today's patch, where unfortunately Celes does need to be leveled right now, and with only a +1 Esper. You can choose to wait, I suppose, if you want to. You can wait all the way until the end of the Magitek research facility, but there's no real reason to. I shouldn't say that. There is a reason to as of right now that I'm thinking about it, of course. We need to leap Gao first, then we need to go grab Shadow, then you can level Celes. I'm going to save Celes leveling for the next video. But, again, unfortunately, there's no option now that they've fixed the glitching. And so, again, you can take and you should take the +1 magic, in my opinion, on Celes. And again, that'll be after we recruit Shadow. Again, it's a little obnoxious having to go all the way over to the Veld to get rid of Gao, but if we were to, let's just say, for like efficiency's sake, well, technically right now we could have chosen to not take a fourth party member, and then we could have grabbed Shadow on the way back around, but the problem with that is with Gao's level factored in, our party average is 6 right now. So again, we actually have to get rid of Gao before we pick up Shadow. Otherwise, again, we would screw up Shadow's level, and he would be brought up to level 6. So again, make sure that you don't do that. And so what we'll do here actually is put you might as well just grab I guess what did I go with there? I think I took Edgar and Gao. That actually wasn't the best way to go, but because of today's changes, that's not really a good idea anymore. Again, it's better to actually just grab Cyan right now and Gao. The reason for that is this specific party, is going to be stuck with us after we do the Opera House, and we'll be stuck with that setup for a while. And unfortunately, there's some forced battles and forced experience in there now, which that has also changed as well. Where on the minecart now, prior to today's patch, we were able to run away from some of those battles, and we were able to eliminate all of that experience. But unfortunately, that is not the case anymore. And since there's forced experience there, we actually want our highest level characters to go with us because they can actually absorb the most. So again, that is Gao and Cyan. So, take those two. So, and also, that means that actually here when we go to drop Gao off, it's a good idea, or you can actually, get a bunch of magic on everybody. And I definitely do recommend that. I think that it's a good idea to teach everybody Thundara. You might as well, get the heal spells and stuff as well. Just learn everything that you can. I think that being, prepared as well as you can for the Opera House and Magitek Research Facility and all of that, I think that just is it's really going to be a good idea. Don't run with I don't know, run bare minimum or something like that. Now, here I sold off all of my green berets, again, expecting that I was going to go over to the Veld and farm for a while. And I wanted everything that's buyable here. Excuse me. Sorry. Wanted to get everything available here, you know, that I could. So 2 ninja gears is good because, you know, Gao and Locke can equip those. I think those are pretty good. Locke actually can use the mithril vest, so I guess it's you know, personal preference on which you what you actually want to have him equipped with. Ninja gear gives him the extra 2 agility, which I kind of like, but the mithril vest does give you a little bit more as far as defense. Those are also, again, because we're going to be on the Veld a lot, we'll get tons of those, or I suppose maybe not necessarily, but you can get those from the Hell's Rider. Now that he will start appearing on the Veld. So here I'm buying the Kichimonji. Probably not saying that right. That is Cyan's upgrade. Might as well grab that now. I don't remember here. I don't think I grabbed any relics, but yeah, nothing. Oh, well, I guess there's earrings here. Although, yeah, I don't know. Earrings actually are very important now that I'm thinking about it, especially for the Magitek research facility. Well, maybe not necessarily. You know, normally if you're doing like a regular playthrough, physical abilities don't work that well in the Magitek research facility because everything is has pretty high defense. So you mostly want to be using a lot of magic, but you know, we're not going to be fighting anything anyway, so it's not really that important. But that said, you really want to prepare yourself actually right now for Veld farming. You know, again, I would say really probably learn all of the different spells that you can there. I think that that's actually really helpful. Slow is a really good spell to learn, and having multiple characters with the ability to cast that, I think makes a lot of sense, especially at the end of the minecart ride. There's a pretty nasty boss, and you know, it can basically it's a 3-part boss, and all of the parts can be slowed. So again, I think it's a really good idea to have all that magic learned for that fight. And again, Thundara, I should say, is good to have on everybody as well. For a maybe even a little bit of a strange reason, I think that now that we can learn magic, the whole like resetting process is a lot easier. So like, again, you know, because I've been doing so much Veld, you know, manipulation, it can get really actually frustrating when, you know, you get into a formation that you don't want, and you know, it depends on what you do. You don't really want to run away and then, you know, go to the menu, you know, go back to the title screen, load up your game. That process is pretty long, and so it's always just better to get wiped out in battle. And what better way to assist your enemies in wiping out your party than to cast Thundara on yourself? So that's kind of been my preferred method of resetting, right, when I get whatever Veld packs or Veld formations that I don't want. So here, now that Locke and Celes are forced into the party, I thought it actually made sense to get these 2 scenes. And normally I've been, I think every time that I've come through here, I always do the scene at the old man's house first, which I think is actually kind of out of order. So here I went over to the left-hand side of town to enter Rachel's house, and here, you know, they do a good backstory here as far as what happened to Rachel, and you know, the fact that, you know, Locke is really guilty over what happened to her, and then not only that, but then the subsequent. I mean, it's not even just the initial incident, right, that Locke feels guilty about, but then, of course, we learn that she later wakes up and remembers him right before, you know, a Imperial attack, or before she's killed in an Imperial attack. So, you know, yeah, I mean, a pretty devastating turn of events there, and you know, so again, it's like compounded guilt, right? The initial incident there that kind of makes her, you know, forget him, unfortunately, but then also, not being there for when she regains her memory, and and kind of needing him, right? Because again, the Imperial soldiers attack, and she's killed. So again, pretty devastating story there for Locke, and again, he kind of carries that guilt, until the world of ruin. And I think it does a good job also of really highlighting how important it is for him to protect, Celes, and I would argue a much lesser extent Terra. There's the elixir in the clock. Definitely grab that. I'm trying to think if that's missable. I don't know if it is or not. Just grab it now. Yeah, it probably is. That probably is missable. So when we transfer over to the world of ruin, I just don't know if that'll be there. Maybe, no, you know what? Maybe it is. Maybe it is. That actually, no, I'm sorry. That probably isn't missable now that I think about it. But either way, grab it now. So anyways, yeah, here we are. And now this is, again, I think it makes sense actually to bring Celes here. Now, again, a lot of the other times that I've played the game as well, I actually come here initially and trigger the scene, but I've never got Celes with. And I actually think that this is just a little bit better. It's not much of it really changes with her in the party or not, but you'll see at the end there after after these events, she kind of comes back down to look at Rachel, and she thinks of Locke, and I assume kind of understands him even a little bit better. Yeah, and then there's another really good scene coming up at the Opera House, kind of in regards to this whole. I think that the Opera House scene makes a lot more sense when Celes is brought here. Like, again, if you come and activate the scene and Celes isn't here, she you don't see her obviously because she's not around to go back down there and kind of I guess whatever. What is she doing? That kind of like pondering Locke's situation. But all right, so we're gonna save here, and then I'm actually going to what I should say I did was I went all the way over to Narsh and grabbed Sabin and Edgar. Oh yeah, I guess yeah, Edgar is with us right now. You know what? I actually at the end of Zozo there, I actually should have swapped Sabin in to get this scene on the way back. That said, too, I should have grabbed this scene on the way to Zozo when we initially came through here, but I remember thinking at the time, I just want to get Zozo done and out of the way. I knew that it was going to be an undertaking, right, with trying to avoid all of the random encounters in there, and so I was just like, you know what, I just got to power through this, so I skipped this scene and, then again came back here after. This does a little bit more for fleshing out the Sabin and Edgar situation here. They do an at least decent job of I guess describing why Edgar is the king, and again, it's one of those things where now I'm so old and forgetting everything that sometimes I guess I forgot that Edgar and Sabin are actually twin brothers. So that was one of the things where I was kind of confused too. Like, okay, well, normally succession in royal families happens where like the older sibling gets first crack at the throne, right? But it complicates things, I suppose, that they're twins. So here again, they do a good job here, I think, of kind of again fleshing out why Edgar is king and not Sabin. And, neither of them wanted it. And, I still question, and I'm not 100% sure if it's the case, but later on when we get Setzer, Celes flips a coin and hustles Setzer. She has a double-headed coin, essentially. And I'm not 100% sure, but it does seem like it's the same coin here that Edgar uses. Which means that Edgar knew all along, and Edgar was giving Sabin the opportunity to choose whatever he wanted to do. he knew that, again, that's my theory anyway. I don't know. I guess I've never really looked into it, so I'm not really sure if that was what the writers had intended for this scene. But I always wonder if that's the case, and this is if this is the double-headed coin that's used later on. Now, if you take Edgar to the Opera House, you actually do see her get the coin from Edgar. But again, I don't know if it's the same, but if it is, I think that says a lot more, I think, about Edgar, though. For one thing, even Edgar admits here that he didn't want to be, or I should say, Sabin says, to Edgar that, I know you aren't, neither of us are interested in being king, so why don't we just take off? And, Edgar, though, saying, well, yeah, but, Ed, this is what our father wanted, was for us to take over the kingdom, and, what would happen to the people if we both took off. And so, again, if it's the same coin, that means that Edgar knew all along that he was going to give Sabin was going to win that coin toss, right? And so he got to choose, whatever he wanted to do. And so, Sabin obviously then does choose to not be king and, uses his, or trains with Duncan, and motivated, I think, by revenge, is the story there. So, again, I think that says actually a lot about both of them, right? That, Sabin, for one thing, doesn't want to be king, and neither does Edgar. But then on top of that, Edgar loves Sabin so much that he kind of, again, if my theory is correct anyway, that, he made sure that Sabin got to choose what he wanted to do. So, yeah, really cool scene, and, kind of does a good job of explaining at least Sabin for sure and his motivations. But all right, so what's next here? Okay, so at this point, I ended up going back into Narshe and dumping off Sabin, and actually I've got Edgar here on the Veldt with me as well. This was kind of a mistake though, again, and this is because this is footage from kind of prior to today's changes. But now that I'm understanding, well, now that I know about what they've changed today, I do recommend actually making sure that you've got Gao here and also a Cyan. Now, it's not the point of no return, so, whatever, it's not the end of the world if you didn't take them here. But anyway, we do need to leap Gao off there. And again, the reason for that is then we need to, because he needs to be gone when we go to higher Shadow here, which is what we're doing. So again, now I'm all the way back over in Kolingen. I cut out all of the travel time. It's not particularly difficult to get over to the Veldt and back. It's really just kind of taking the same route that we went before. Through Mount Colts over to the Returner hideout, jump off the falls. You end up on the Veldt, run all the way through the Phantom Forest again, and then, jump off the Barren Falls there, and before I should have said, it was Returner hideout to the Leth River, right, and jumping on the raft, and then again, across the plain there into the Phantom Forest, jump off Barren Falls, boom, you're on the Veldt. And then at that point, you have to jump into the Serpent's Trench, come back over, all the way over to, Kolingen, grab Shadow, and again, at that point, he will be level 5. If you accidentally have, whatever Gao or forget, unfortunately, that will force Shadow's level up to 6. So again, don't do that. And we'll talk a little bit more about the leveling process here in the next video, but I think I've got some footage here of going on up into Narshe. Now, that's the other thing now. I fully expect them to fix this, but in prior versions of the game, and again, I think that this will eventually get fixed, so keep this in mind, we were not actually able to take Shadow into Narshe, which would mean that we would have to level him right now. But right about there, you can see me running back and forth across that tile. Shadow just he'll say something like, "I've whatever. What does he say there? I've fulfilled my bargain," or something like that. He says some line like that. and he'll take off on you. But again, because something is not quite right here, we're actually able to stash Shadow here in Narsh. Now, that also doesn't matter as much as it did prior to today. There was a way that actually Shadow being level 5, and if you kept him at level 5, you would be able to basically force down Setzer's level, and Setzer would join you at 5, but that's done. There's no way to do that anymore. So that being said, and again, if you're playing right now and you can take Shadow into Narsh, then cool, leave him here. But if not, then you do need to level him right now. So again, I'll talk about that a little bit more in the next video as well. But the reason for that is if you can store him still in Narsh, that means that we'll be able to take him back out once the Magitek research facility is over. And at that point, we will have an Esper that will give us +2 to stats. But as of right now, again, we're fine and able to do that. But there's a chance that this gets changed. So, all right, that is all the time I've got for this one. As always, I hope the guide was helpful and hope you join me for more videos. Thanks for watching.